Welcome to the Free and Equal Ambassador Program. My name is Peter Radford. I'm really excited just to talk you through here the key elements of this brand new program that we're launching and how it can help you to tackle discrimination in your school. I've been running Free and Equal conferences for a number of years now. These are conferences that have looked at big discrimination issues like racism and misogyny. We've looked at masculinity, about gender identity, and so on. And what we have done each time is we've invited schools to bring small clusters of students to these conferences. They've met with other students, they've heard inspirational speakers, they've talked through some of these issues, they've then gone back into their schools and run campaigns, raised awareness, made change. And that's really my vision for Free and Equal. But what we're doing with the Ambassador Program is now essentially, instead of simply inviting schools to come participate and then leaving them to it, we're providing a vehicle, a mechanism to support, facilitate your students to go on and on an ongoing basis, be agents of change within your school community, speaking out about justice issues, about human rights issues, and tackling discrimination. So in a nutshell, the Ambassador Program entails recruiting 15 to 30 of your students plus 2 staff members and equipping them to be voices within your school community, activists for equity, for justice, and for respect, to essentially harness the power of student voice to work with teachers, with leaders, to affect change across your school communities. You may well be aware, I'm certainly aware of the fact that the majority of discrimination goes unreported in our schools. Much of it we don't ever hear about as staff members, but it's there, it's ongoing, and the students know that. The students are aware of that. They are hearing the conversations and the banter and the language that is being utilized within the corridors, in the canteen, and so on. Most of it goes unreported for 3 reasons. One, it's not recognized as being discrimination. There's an ignorance there, a lack of education, lack of awareness about just exactly the nature of the discrimination. It's not necessarily recognized by the perpetrator or by the victim. Secondly, it's accepted, it's normalized, it's not seen as serious enough to report, and so it never hits the radar of heads of year or tutors or teachers. Thirdly, there's often a lack of confidence that that incident will be dealt with, or dealt with effectively, or dealt with appropriately, or that actually reporting it won't simply put a target on the victim's back and make the situation worse. So those 3 aspects need to be addressed if we're going to tackle discrimination in our schools. And what I'm talking about is affecting a change of culture where the majority recognize and speak out about and challenge injustice in all its forms, rather than the silent majority maintaining that silence and effectively enabling that culture of discrimination to continue. So what I'm talking about effectively is changing culture from the bottom up instead of simply from the top down, instead of simply adopting a zero tolerance approach, having a list of sanctions and systems which will kick in when discrimination is reported, that actually we are mobilizing those students in our school communities who care about justice, who care about human rights, who want to do the right thing, who feel compassionate towards those who are victims of abuse, minority students who are underrepresented and perhaps subjected to abuse or harassment or assault or mistreatment, bullying, various kinds on a daily basis, that those students essentially become allies to those people who are on the receiving end of that behavior. Most of our students don't engage in overt bullying behavior. Most of our students are not on the receiving end of that overt bullying behavior. In the middle, we've got this silent majority of what I would call non-participants, but that silent majority, by its silence, ends up essentially enabling bullying behavior of various degrees to continue. And what I'm talking about is equipping, enabling that silent majority to speak out, providing a vehicle for them to speak out about justice and discrimination, to challenge it, and therefore to change the culture in our schools. So there's two versions to the ambassador program. There's the do-it-yourself version. This is a low price, easy access way to essentially benefit from our support in the outset, setup, getting started. We've done the spade work for you, but then essentially you drive the program yourself, and it can take whatever shape you would like it to take. The done for you version takes all of the work and the thinking out of the process. So essentially we provide in-person training to get you started. We help you with campaign planning. We provide a program across an entire year of online training once per half term. And at the end of that training program, there is certification for all of those students and staff who have taken part. Let me just break that down in a few more details for you. So the do-it-yourself version, what's included? Well, we'll kick you off with a getting started live training webinar for your staff. Then we'll send you out a starter pack. So in that starting pack, there will be pin badges for all of your ambassadors and a full getting started guide. In that guide will be ready-made job descriptions, application forms for students, so that you are ready to put that out to students and don't need to kind of think through the admin logistics of that. Students can sign up, they can consider, is this for me? They know what's involved, what it entails. That's all crystal clear from the outset. We'll also provide you with tutorial resources, assembly resources, so that in advertising the program to your students, you don't need to start from scratch, recreate a whole launch resource. You're good to go straight away. Then we'll provide you with access to an online portal and resource sharing. So all of those starter resources will be electronically saved. You'll be able to access them, use them, and benefit from them. And that resource portal will grow as the program continues and as different schools share what they are doing, and we benefit from that sort of cross-pollination from different schools. There'll be monthly updates and ideas for you in running your campaigns in championing human rights, and you will be able to, if you want to, buy into any of the half-termly training sessions. If there's, for example, you're particularly looking at a particular issue, maybe you're looking at tackling misogyny in your school, you can buy into the training around misogyny for your ambassadors. That's at an extra cost if you're a DIY customer. The done for you version, then, what's included in that? Well, first of all, everything that I've just mentioned in the do it yourself version, that's a given. So everything of that is included. But then in addition, you will have a full day of in-person training from either myself or one of my colleagues. So we will come to your school, we'll take a whole day with you, with your ambassadors and with your staff members, and we will go through a program. I'll mention in a moment what is involved in that. You'll also be able to access those online training sessions once per half term for your students. You'll also, every participant will receive a free and equal t-shirt or a tote bag if they prefer. There's an example of a t-shirt there. The reason why that is important is actually, if you're running assemblies or an event, maybe a fundraising event, maybe an awareness event, then it provides a kind of a branded way to communicate who you are and what you're about. It brings that solidarity amongst yourselves as a team, and it makes what you're doing visible, and the underlying ethos behind it becomes visible. So that can be quite a useful mechanism for just becoming more visible within your school. You'll have email and phone support. Everyone who completes the program will have certification. And also, as a done for you customer, you will have a 10% discount on all Beyond This training and workshop offers, and 10% off tickets future free and equal conferences. So what does a full day of training involve? It involves 5 hours, so a whole school day. The morning will focus on training your students and staff in understanding unconscious bias, discrimination. It'll be an introduction to some of those big discrimination issues that we're tackling as schools and as a culture. We're facing as a culture at the moment, and we'll be thinking through what's the reality in your school, recognizing that every school is different, the demographic of each school is different. So we'll have some opportunity there to delve into what the challenges are in your school. The second half of that day will be where we facilitate you in picking an issue to focus on, informing that into a campaign, into then the process of dividing your ambassadors into teams, maybe sub-teams, maybe appointing sub-team leaders, maybe establishing who is responsible for what, and then the formation of an action plan so that by the end of that day, every one of your ambassadors and staff leave knowing exactly what the next steps are, what their roles are, what's coming next, and what they need to do in the meantime. So that's a really effective way to kick the program off and make sure that you hit the ground running very, very quickly. Everybody in the same place, on the same page, and by the end of that day, excited and motivated to really start making change. The 6-part training program that I mentioned to you, this will take place on Wednesdays and Thursday evenings. We'll publish the dates at the beginning of each academic year. If for any reason some of those dates can't be made, they'll be recorded and you'll have the opportunity to watch those back in a limited time period after the recording of that. But essentially they will be early evenings, recognizing that there's no way we're going to be able to get mass engagement during the school day. So those will be early evening online training sessions. What will they cover? These are, broadly speaking, just headlines of what we'll be looking at. Theory of change, how to run a successful school campaign and affect change. A whole session looking at harmful stereotypes, looking at human rights, looking at equality, what that means. A session looking at how to challenge attitudes and grow your influence. So essentially training your students in the art of persuasion, how to win friends and influence people, essentially how to challenge behavior without actually ostracizing people, peeing people off, and becoming unpopular. 4th session will look specifically at the dynamics of racism and race itself, how to tackle and change racist systems. 5th session will look at feminism, at harassment, at porn, at masculinity, what needs to change with that regard. And in the 6th session, we'll look at gender inclusivity, homophobia, and why people are scared of difference. Now, I say this is a rolling program because some schools will be joining the program in September, some schools will be joining in January, and some in April. And no matter where they join, they will therefore join wherever we're up to. So the order of this particular program doesn't particularly matter. Some will join it on session 3, some will join it on session 5, and so on. And it'll keep on rolling throughout the year. In those sessions as well, there'll be opportunity where we share key highlights from different schools of what you guys have done, what you've achieved, and what the impact has been. So it'll be a motivational, very exciting program to be a part of. Certification will depend on 85% attendance. So that essentially means that all students will need to prove, and staff therefore to prove, that they have engaged in 5 of those 6 sessions plus the full day of training. And there'll be brief assignments after each one as a way of checking that students haven't simply logged on and then done their homework whilst live on a call, for example. So there will be some, and it will be minimal, but there will be some necessity for students to prove their engagement. As I said, there are different possible start dates. That's up to you and what you're doing. That's also significant perhaps for seeing the ambassador program not as a one-off, one-year initiative, but as a multi-year planning and culture change vehicle, so that year on year, year 11s coming through into sixth form, get ready to start up. Maybe you recruit them in the summer term and begin the process of the training prior to them starting year 12. You can do it how you would like to do it, but essentially what we're looking at is enabling this to be an ongoing process. You could have two teams. You could have a sixth form team, you could have a lower school team, but all of these teams and this program provides the opportunity for leadership, skills development, and obviously a fantastic array of skills and abilities for students to talk about on their personal statements as part of their CVs, for it to be part of their educational curriculum. And what we're also looking at, and we will be encouraging you and training you with this, is encouraging the whole program to interact with senior leadership, policy, governors, thinking about working together with school leaders to affect change. So it's not simply some students doing this in the corner. It doesn't impact on school life. It's about those, that bottom up and top down coming together and working together in order to affect change. We'll also be planning future free and equal conferences, and we'll be looking at doing these regionally so that your schools in your area can hook together and bring students to be motivated and meet other free and equal ambassadors and come up with new, fresh, innovative ideas to affect change in your school communities. The cost then, very quickly, do it yourself, just £19 a month, that's 228 for the year. They're done for you, £89 a month or £1068 per year. And the monthly training, if you're a DIY customer and you want to buy into that monthly training just on an ad hoc pick and mix basis, then buy-in for each one is £99. So in other words, for 15 students and 2 staff, that works out at £5.82 per person. So great value for money in terms of what you're getting out of it and the impact that this has the potential to have on your school community. So what happens next? Booking is now open. The link on the website is live, so you can go to that booking form. You can reserve your place on the program, decide when you want to start and indicate that on the booking form. You'll be invoiced immediately. If you book for the done for you version, then we'll be in touch straight away to arrange that first in-person training day date. The starter pack you can expect to receive in the first week of September if you are looking at this in the summer term. And equally, depending on whenever you opt to start the program, you can expect to receive that starter pack in time for that initial start. I'm a firm believer it only takes one person to change culture. One person repetitively, continually doing the same thing over and over and over again has an infectious impact on the people around them. If you've got 15, if you've got 30 students who start to change their behavior, become visible, and start to call out, challenge racist, misogynistic, homophobic, transphobic behavior, language, that begins a movement which has the potential to transform your school culture and make your school an inclusive place, a truly inclusive place to come, not simply because the policies are all in place, but because students actually live it. They demonstrate that inclusion themselves. So I hope that's been useful, informative. If you want to know anything else, drop me a line. My email address is there at the bottom of the screen. You can get in touch by phone as well. Happily have a chat with you and talk about it more. Thank you very much. Hope to be involved with you in this program over the coming year.